Hello everyone, and welcome to the channel. Let me start with a quick question. Have you ever downloaded an app that looked amazing in screenshots, but the moment you opened it, you felt completely confused? Or maybe you visited a website and left within seconds because you couldn't figure out where to click. Why does that happen? You might think it's because of bad coding, or maybe it's because the site was slow. But here's the interesting part. In many cases, the problem comes down to something much more powerful: UI and UX design. In today's video, we're going on a journey into the world of digital product design. We'll explore what UI and UX really mean, why they matter so much, and how they can turn an ordinary digital product into an extraordinary experience. And to make these concepts easy to understand, let me introduce you to John. John is a curious college student who loves technology. He uses apps every day for studying, organizing tasks, watching videos, and connecting with friends. But until recently, he never stopped to think about the fascinating world of design that exists behind every app he uses. One day, while searching online, John came across a poorly designed website. Something didn't feel right. Everything seemed disconnected. Right there, a question sparked in his mind. Why is working with some websites so easy and enjoyable, but others are so frustrating? This curiosity became the beginning of his adventure into the world of design. John started researching and soon discovered two key concepts: UI and UX. These two concepts are like the pillars of a building. Every digital product you use today, from social media apps to banking platforms, is built on them. Together, UI and UX determine how a product looks, how it works, and most importantly, how users feel while using it. The truth is, without strong and principled UI/UX design, even the best ideas are doomed to fail. Let's start with UI. UI stands for user interface. In simple terms, UI includes everything you can see and interact with on a screen: buttons, layouts, typography and fonts, icons, colors, and spacing. Think of UI as the visual presentation of a product. If buttons are clearly visible, text is readable, and the layout is clean and organized, that's the job of UI design. When the user interface is strong, users can easily navigate through the app and get things done. A strong UI creates clarity. A weak UI creates confusion. You might not believe it, but sometimes even small details, like the size of a button or the choice of font, can affect how comfortable a user feels. So UI is not just about making things look pretty. Its main goal is to create a clear and intuitive visual connection between the user and the product's functions. Now let's talk about UX. UX stands for user experience. If UI focuses on the look and form of a product, UX focuses on the entire journey and feeling of the user while interacting with that product. UX takes a broader and deeper view of the story. A good UX designer is always looking for answers to these questions. Is the process simple and smooth? Can the user achieve their goal quickly and without hassle? How does the user feel along the way? Satisfied, frustrated, delighted, confused? Does the product solve their problem in the best possible way? UX is about usability, flow, logic, and emotion. For example, if a student can add a new assignment with just 2 taps on the screen, that's good user experience. But if they have to dig through 5 different menus to do it, that's poor user experience. The ultimate goal of UX is to reduce friction and increase user satisfaction throughout the journey. Here's a simple way to remember the difference. UI means how the product looks. UX means how the product works and how the user feels. And the important thing is, these two must work together, side by side, to create a great product. One day, John's friend shared a website created by a group of students. John opened it with excitement, but quickly became frustrated. The text was tiny and hard to read. Buttons didn't work properly or weren't where he expected them to be. The colors were so bright and chaotic that they hurt his eyes. The menus were messy and disorganized, and it wasn't clear where to start. No matter how much he searched, John couldn't find what he was looking for. The sad truth was this: even though the students had worked hard and spent a lot of time on it, the final product turned out to be frustrating. This experience created an aha moment for John. He realized that effort alone isn't enough. If users can't use your product easily, you can be sure they'll leave, and they won't come back. Instead of just complaining about that bad website, John decided to find the root of the problem. Why did this happen? He came to the conclusion that the issue wasn't just technical. The servers were working, the code was probably running, but the main problem was the design. The user interface lacked clarity, and the user experience didn't have a smooth, logical flow. That's when John truly understood the power of UI and UX for the first time. He realized if bad design could be so disappointing, then surely good, principled design could be the solution. This was the spark that made John decide to take action himself. He decided to apply proper UI and UX principles to build something useful, an app to help students organize their homework. Before drawing a single line, John did something very smart, something that many beginner designers avoid doing. He focused on users. Instead of guessing what students needed, he started asking questions. He talked to several students and asked, "How do you track your assignments right now? What frustrates you about current apps? If you could have an ideal app for this, what feature would be most important to you?" He didn't just listen to their words. John also observed them while they were using their phones, watching how they actually interacted with different apps. After collecting this feedback and finding patterns, he came to an interesting conclusion. Students didn't want complex features or tons of options. What they really wanted was simplicity, speed, clarity. This research phase gave John a clear roadmap. He understood that good design always starts with empathy. Before thinking about design, we must understand our users. After completing his research and understanding the user, John moved to the next stage, wireframing. Think of wireframing as the architectural blueprint of a house. Before thinking about wall colors or decoration style, you need to figure out the rooms, doors, and hallways. Wireframing does exactly that. It focuses on structure and framework, not visual details. With just a piece of paper and a marker, John started drawing the main frames of his app. He designed a very simple home screen with just two main options. Add new assignment. View calendar. He removed all unnecessary elements. The main focus was on a clear navigation path and a simple, logical flow. This stage helped John think about user movement within the app. Where do they start? What do they click on? And where do they end up? Wireframing acts as a protective layer against clutter and confusion, before colors and visuals come into play. Once the app structure was strong and solid, it was time for the most exciting part, visual design. Now John could confidently focus on choosing colors, fonts, and icons. He selected soft, calming colors to reduce user stress. Remember, his users were stressed students with homework deadlines. For text, he chose clean, readable fonts that would be easy to read on small phone screens. For icons, he picked simple and familiar designs. The important thing here is that every choice had a purpose. The goal wasn't just beauty, it was comfort and clarity. Now John's app looked modern, organized, and inviting. The next step was smartly organizing the information within this beautiful frame. This stage is called information architecture. John made sure that the most important and frequently used actions, like adding a task, were right on the home screen, in front of the user. Less important features were moved to secondary menus to keep the main screen uncluttered. By doing this, he simplified the app structure as much as possible, so users wouldn't feel overwhelmed by too much information. The goal of information architecture is to arrange content in a logical and understandable way. When this is done correctly, the user doesn't need to think to find what they want. They instinctively know where to go, and that's powerful design. Finally, John tested the app. This might be the most important stage of the entire design process. He gave the app to real users and carefully observed their behavior. Where did they hesitate? Where did they get confused? What did they expect to happen when they clicked a button? The feedback came quickly. Some users suggested making the buttons larger. Others wanted each subject to have its own color for easier organization. John collected all this feedback, improved the design based on it, and tested again. This cycle of testing and improving made the app stronger and more user-friendly each time. Great products are rarely perfect in their first version. They mature over time through continuous iteration and by listening to users. In the end, John turned his idea into a simple, useful, and truly helpful app. What started as a frustrating experience with a bad website turned into a learning journey and the creation of a great product. And John learned the most important lesson of his life. Great digital products are built through research, empathy, thoughtful design, and continuous improvement. That is the true power of UI and UX. Now let me ask you, after watching this video, which part of UI UX interests you the most? The visual design side, UI, or the user research side, UX? Let me know in the comments below. If you found this video helpful, please support me by liking and subscribing, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss future videos. Thanks for watching until the end.